Hey guys, welcome to Daily Puck Talk live on October 6th, Friday. We got 5 games to break down. I'm here with Tom. You might know him as Electric Eye in chat and on the sites, and ready to get going. What do you think about tonight, Tom?
Hey, we got 5 games tonight, and we'll see what happens. There's a couple of interesting things on the docket for tonight. Obviously, Mike Babcock going back to Detroit for his first game with Toronto. But yeah, we'll dive right into it because there's no reason not to.
All right, let's start with the Rangers and Columbus. What are your thoughts here?
Well, we got. I think Columbus is very healthy. Which they were not last year. And that's, I wrote in my preview article, I guess a couple weeks back, with Brandon Saad and Ryan Johansson with Nick Foligno. That's a good top line there, but they have others with that. Hartnell's knocked to the second line with Wenberg and Cam Atkinson. And then, of course, there's Boone Jenner, Brandon Dubinsky, and Rene Bourque. He's still hanging around, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be on that Nash line tonight of, Rick Nash, Derek Brassard, and Matt Zuccarello. So if I like the Rangers, I think there's going to be scoring in this game. Obviously, the king going for the Rangers, Henrik Lundqvist. But if I take any Rangers, it's probably going to be Kreider and Stepan. And then on the other side of Columbus, I kind of like, obviously, how can you not like Ryan Johansson and put him with Saad or, even Johnson on the point there. But I'm looking, Bob could be healthy, and this could be a 3-2 game, I think. But it all depends. Two good goaltenders, so it's really up to the defense and how they can keep the high scorers off the board.
Yeah, Columbus is interesting to me. I think a lot of people are just assuming they're gonna be better this year because they're gonna be healthier. I mean, they'll definitely be healthier. The injuries they dealt with last year are crazy, but I'm not sure that automatically makes them better. I mean, Bobrovsky is great in that, great for shutting. I guess the acquisition of Saad is going to help, but I don't know. I'm not seeing them as like a playoff team, as I've seen some people say. As far as tonight, though, I agree with you on Dubinsky. I think if he gets the Nash matchup, I don't think that takes Nash out of the equation entirely, but it definitely is a strike against him. And I agree with you that I think we'll be looking at Kreider and Stepan more than anything. Kevin Hayes in that line too. I think they had 1 goal against Chicago, that line. But the third line had 2, I believe. But I don't think I'm going to be going that far down. But yeah, I would say more. I guess with 5 games, you can't really cross it off entirely, but it's not the highlight of the night for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. And obviously there's Yandle and McDonough too on the points. The Rangers did not have a power play last game, so it's going to be tough to see how they deal with that, because Yandle had, I think it was somewhere 60-75% of the ice time last year anyway after the trade. But yeah, I guess we're both kind of in agreement on that game. The next game's Winnipeg at New Jersey. Now I'm going to throw this over to you. What do you think about Winnipeg playing a back-to-back game early in the season?
Yeah, back-to-back's tough early in the season. I mean, we all know later in the season that it's not a good thing, and there's definitely an effect the second night. I'm not exactly sure if that holds true early in the year. You can look at it both. You can look at it one of 2 ways. You can look at it and say no because they're pretty fresh, or you could also say that it's early in the season and their stamina isn't up to where it would be, and it's going to affect them even more because they're not used to it. They're on the grind. I guess I'm just treating it as normal. It makes it easy that New Jersey is just so bad. I mean, that alone makes it tough to not like Winnipeg, especially on a small slate. I mean, New Jersey, their lineup is just very, very bad. And if it weren't for Corey Schneider and net, this would be easily the worst team in the league.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on that, because their top line's Camilleri, Zajac, and Palmieri. And I do like Camilleri a little bit tonight, because if they're going to score, it looks like he's the only one that can. I think it's Henrique on the second line with Josephson, and it's just not a good mix for scoring, on the Jersey side anyway. For Winnipeg, obviously it's Ladd, Little, and Wheeler. Scheifele on that second line. I do like he got some power play time last game, and as you know, I like looking at that. you know. So I guess actually I'm mistaken. They didn't have a power play either. I read it off of I guess Ed Tate from Winnipeg said that Scheifele was going to be on the power play with Buffalo. So we'll see what happens as that unfolds tonight. But yeah, I think Winnipeg wins somewhere around 3-2, maybe even 4-2. The way they boat raced your Boston Bruins last night.
Yeah, I mean, the Bruins defense was giving them. I mean, Chris Thorburn scored a goal, so that tells you how that game went. I think the top line for Winnipeg is probably where you want to be. They're a good line. They're really underrated. Wheeler and Ladd love to shoot. Little helps them out too. But I mean, Perreault on the second line is another guy who's really underrated. So I think the entire top six is definitely cash game worthy, and stacking either line works for a tournament.
Yep. So yeah, that's the way I would go if I was taking Winnipeg, but I don't think I am.
You're not taking Winnipeg at all?
I don't think so. I think I like a couple other teams better that we're coming up on. One of them next is obviously Toronto and Detroit. So I'll throw that one to you as well.
All right, that's interesting. I got Winnipeg as my second best team of the night, but all right. So Toronto, I mean they definitely played better than we saw them last season in their opener. I mean, it was kind of like they were getting chances and they just didn't know what to do with them. And I think that's going to be the case all year. Mike Babcock's going to have them organized, but they still don't have the talent to really take advantage. I do like Toronto's top line. I think Kadri's going to have a big year. JVR away from Bozak is great. And I think Brad Boyes is a solid player. I'm surprised they got him on a PTO, and I think it's going to work out well for them. Detroit, I talked about Detroit in my preview. I covered them, posted that probably a week ago. They're really tough. You never know how that's going to go. And they're also really, really old in some key positions. I mean, Zetterberg is up there. Datsuk's already out for the first couple months at least. He might be back like mid-November, I think. And they signed Brad Richards to be their second center. And, I mean, he didn't look great last year in Chicago. So, I mean, if you can't produce in Chicago, I don't know if you can produce in Detroit, though I guess it's not that much of a drop-off. And then you got guys like Cronwell in the back who are also pretty old. So, I don't know. I really couldn't tell you where I think Detroit's going to finish this year. It could be all over the place. What do you think about them?
I tend to agree. I kind of like Jimmy Howard tonight in net, though, because I do agree with you that Toronto, although more organized, without Kessel, okay, I mean, it's up to JVR and I guess Kadri to put the puck in the net. And, maybe they're kind of like going to mirror a Vancouver team from last year, where the top line on the road kind of struggled a little bit. And I look for the same tonight because they don't have, any secondary scoring on their team as far as I can see. So I'm going to kind of, Detroit's going to be one of the teams I load up on. Kind of looking at Nyquist because he got bumped up to the second line with Richards and Tatar. And then the top line is Abdelkader, Zetterberg, and Dylan Larkin. Now, I did like Larkin until I saw that he was kind of it was sketchy whether it was going to be him or Jacob Kindle back on the power play with Franz and Zetterberg, Abdelkader, and Cronwell. But it is going to be Kindle, and Larkin's just out of there. So Larkin's pretty cheap across the industry. If you want to get some exposure to Zetterberg, that's obviously a cheap way to go. Jonathan Bernier's back in net tonight. And even though Toronto, if you look at the game, they only gave up 29 shots against Montreal the other night. But I still don't think that Bernier's that good of a goalie to say stop, 29 of 30 shots. He's going to get 27 of 30, maybe even 26, depending on how many dumb penalties the Maple Leafs take. So I do kind of like I'm going to probably roll Nyquist and Cronwell on most of my cash games tonight.
Interesting. I think the thing for me with Detroit is that I don't like the way their lines are set up. In my opinion, they have three really good guys who I'd like to take for fantasy: Zetterberg, Nyquist, and Tatar. Mm-hmm. Putting Nyquist and Tatar with Brad Richards kind of softens them in my eyes, and then Zetterberg, I don't like his line mates that much either, which makes it tough to trust any of them. And then the other thing is, we talked about this, me and Warren did. Babcock under Babcock, the Wings played the slowest pace in the league outside of New Jersey. I really don't know what that's going to look like under the new coach. But if it's slow, I mean, that you know Toronto is going to try to slow the game down too. So we could end up with a game where both teams are only taking 20, 25 shots. And I do like your Howard call, but if that's the case, that's going to make it tough on either goalie to really pay off in a big way.
Right. And I can see your point on that. And you're right with Babcock slowing the pace down. So obviously with Toronto, he's already started to, which is why I'm opting to go with the speedier Nyquist than say the slower, older Zetterberg and stuff like that. So, that's part of my reasoning in that too. I think Nyquist scores tonight. I really do.
All right, moving on. We got Chicago coming off a loss opening night to the Rangers against the Islanders. What are your thoughts there?
Well, obviously, Corey Crawford's going to be back in net. It looked like a Stanley Cup hangover the other night with the Rangers. Rangers played good. I mean, very good in both ends, offensive and defensively. They're another team that didn't get a power play. They ended up winning 3-2. So Chicago was very disciplined with not taking any penalties, but they go to the Islanders, and you know what? Just because they were knocked out last year doesn't mean that they're not going to be a good team this year. They were very good last year. The only problem is Jaroslav Halak is not up to par. He's not ready to go. So Thomas Greiss is going to go tonight. And, the Hawks, I mean, they're a good team too. They probably want a little revenge from losing the first night, raising the banner and all that crap. But I'm going to go with the Islanders. I like Anders. The top line is Anders Lee, John Tavares, and Ryan Strome, and then you add Kyle Okposo on that power play with Nick Leddy. It looks like they're going to go with instead of Johnny Boychuk on power play number 1. So and I think they're pretty closely priced on most sites on the industry. So I like Leddy. Leddy will be on my lineup tonight as well as Anders Lee and John Tavares as well. Now, if you want to go Chicago side, they go. I don't know what Andrew Shaw keeps showing up on that power play for, but he does from the third line. But I wouldn't mind taking Patrick Kane tonight, coming off the second line up there at the. I guess they're playing in the Barclays Center tonight, right? Opening that place up. So I'm sure there's going to be some big ceremony for that too. So who knows? But I do like the Islanders tonight.
Yeah, I think that Islanders first line is going to be really good. We saw Lee and Strome both produce last year with Tavares and without Tavares. So I think getting those three together is going to be really good for all three. And I mean, normally a top line you have to worry about the Taves matchup, but I think that line can actually do all right against Taves. Like, I mean, it's not going to be easy, but they're. I mean, you're not going to find a more talented line on many teams. Like you said, Halak being out hurts them a little bit, but they do have one of the better backups in the league, I'd say, in Greiss. So I think they'll be all right in that sense. Leddy Boychuk is a great top pairing. I would assume I don't know. I mean, they could go strength on strength and try to go Tavares versus the Taves line, and then maybe leave Leddy and Boychuk to handle Kane. But I think that'll be interesting. I mean, either way, Leddy and Boychuk are going to face one of the top 6 lines for Chicago. So I don't know. I wasn't on Chicago much on Wednesday, and I don't think I'm going to be on them much tonight. I do agree with you that the Islanders first line is probably the way to go.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing with Greiss, I mean, yeah, he is a good backup. Obviously, Niemi looked great last night for Dallas. I don't know if you can call him a backup or not with Kerry Letton in there. But, with Greiss, it's a little different than Halak because Halak kept them in a lot of games last year, in my opinion. He wasn't bad. But, so that, yeah, I mean, either top 6 for Chicago, but I just like the second one. I just like Kane. So
what do you think about Marek Sidlicki? Probably going to be playing third pairing, second power play. I mean, I feel like they're gonna give him some offensive zone starts and try to get him into some situations that easier competition, I would think.
Right, and I agree. It all depends, though. Like you said, who they put on who. You know what I mean? It's going to be, it depends on what line he's on. Yes, he is a big offensive defenseman for sure, but he's getting old in the tooth too. He's been around a while, so we'll see what happens.
All right, moving on to the last game of the night, and probably the biggest one for most people. We got the Los Angeles Kings coming off a tough loss to the Sharks, and they are facing Arizona. What are your thoughts on Arizona there, Tom?
Well, it's Mike Smith, and they got Jonathan Quick as likely. We all know the Kings story. You know, they always wait till the last minute to declare the goalie, and it's usually Quick. And it almost has to be tonight after the loss to the home loss at San Jose. But they're back on home ice tonight, and I don't think we should have any problem plugging them right back in, whether you liked Carter and Toffoli or whether you liked Kopitar or Gaborik. It doesn't matter which pair. You just make sure it's one of the pairs. Arizona, one of the worst teams in the league last year. And really the only thing that changed, well, there's two things that changed, was that obviously Keith Yandel, they traded away. And Max Domi makes the team. Their 12th pick, their first round, 12th overall of 2013. Other than that, there's really not much there in Arizona. I mean, Domi's on the top line with Vermette and Boddicker, and it looks like Tobias Reeder is with Martin Hanzal and Anthony Duclair, the cast-off from the Rangers. Now, if you want to go contrarian, then obviously it's Tobias Reeder for me on the second line, as he did well last year towards the end of the year. But tonight, going against the Kings, who are kind of mad, I would think, for the thrashing that the Sharks gave them. I think that would that would get the Kings up for this game a little bit. Back on defense for the Kings is Drew Doughty, but Christian Ehrhoff, a little bit lower priced. Saw a lot of power play time last game as well. So I was reading, I think Lisa Dillman, her name is, and I think everything's going to stay the same for tonight. They're not going to panic, obviously, over one game. So, I'm going Kopitar, Gaborik, and Ehrhoff for tonight's games.
Yeah, I agree there. I think the Kings are definitely the top option tonight. Arizona, Arizona's probably going to finish last this year, if I had to guess. They do not have a lot of talent. Guys getting some key minutes. The Kings is definitely the top option, just a matter of first line or second line, and you can make perfectly good arguments for either one. I do like the Kopitar line a little bit more when they aren't facing a team where they're going to get a tough matchup. And in a tougher matchup, Kopitar is going to draw that, and they might have to focus more on defense. But against a team like this, I think they'll turn them both loose, and Kopitar is probably the better bet. The Carter Toffoli line that Warren loves so much, they didn't do much the other night. I think they'll still have a good year, and I could definitely see them being a little under-owned. I think people usually go with the first line for LA. I think you're fine with both, though. And I agree with you. Ehrhoff's probably a nice cheap defenseman. What are your thoughts on Quick as a goalie?
Well, against Arizona, how many goals are they going to score? I guess he's got to be the top option tonight. But I like him and Howard. I don't like anybody else really. You could take your pick of Lundqvist or Bobrovsky, but I think that game's going to have some goals in it. They got some goal scorers in those teams. Unlike Arizona, Shane Doan's down on the third line in first power play, and how old's that guy? I just don't. Arizona may get one goal tonight, and that may be it.
Yeah, this is the one thing I really struggle with is a guy like Quick. You really can't expect him to see many shots. 22, 23 would be a good night for him at this point with doing the match plays. And that kind of leads me to go other directions, because if you don't get the shutout from him, that one goal really can kill you. And if he gives up 2 goals, you're pretty much done if he's only seeing 20 shots. But I guess you could – I think Lundqvist is a fairly good option if you're paying up. And then I also like Mike Hutchinson for Winnipeg. I think he's the best goalie they have, and I think the same things that you can say about Arizona, you can say about New Jersey. But the shot concerns are still there too. So I don't know. Goalie's tough tonight, I would say.
Yeah. Definitely for cash. Obviously GPP, you could throw anybody in there. You might even want to throw in, Grice. for a GPP maybe, because Chicago is going to be shooting a puck.
I like Schneider as a GPP. Anytime he's in play.
Right.
I mean, he steals games for them all the time. He's one of the best goalies in the league, and his team's so bad, so they're going to give up a ton of shots. And, I mean, tonight you get Winnipeg on a back-to-back, which probably won't matter too much, but I don't know. I think it's a good gamble. And, if you're gonna take Camilleri and stack Devil, I think you almost have to have Schneider as your goalie in a GPP, just for the correlation alone.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I agree with that for sure. It's just, Winnipeg, you're right. Winnipeg should get some shots tonight, and it's just a matter of how bad that Jersey defense is, depends on obviously the result. So, we know they probably won't score much, but the defense has to hold up. So we'll have to just wait and see on that one tonight.
Yeah. All right. That's all the games. So if anyone has any questions, just throw them in chat and we'll try to get to them right now. While we're waiting, Tom, who would you say is your top line of the night?
I think my top line of the night has to be the New York Islanders line, with Anders Lee, John Tavares, and Ryan Strome. Not Strome as much, but if you want to try to get cute and get pieces of Tavares, then yeah, Lee and Strome to say load up on another line, say maybe the Kings line, But yeah, I do like I like Lee and Tavares tonight. They're probably going to be in almost every lineup I have.
Interesting. I mean, I like them. I don't know if I'd throw them every lineup, but I think for me it's going to be Los Angeles. I can't tell you which one I'm going to be on right now. Probably a mix of both, Gaborik and then maybe Carter, or maybe Gaborik and Toffoli, just because they shoot a lot. I think LA is going to absolutely kill them. I just don't see any way Arizona remains competitive this year in any regular fashion, especially against at least decent team in LA.
Right, and I agree, and that's probably tonight. That's probably the only team you can do that with. Pair them up. Just play half of one, half of the other. And then you're covered on both ends. And it's tough to say. I mean, obviously you can't say that about New Jersey. You can't say that about Toronto. Chicago, I guess you could a little bit, but in Arizona, definitely not. Detroit, you could make a case for Abdelkader Zetterberg versus Tatar and Nyquist, but it's certainly not as strong as Kopitar, Gaborik, Carter, and Toffoli.
All right, doesn't look like we have any questions. So before we sign off, how about one underrated line you think that good GPP flyer tonight?
Well, I think you hit on it. I think it's probably JVR, Kadri, and Brad Boyes. I mean, if that's if Howard's my goalie, he is, and sometimes he cannot look good. But if you want a GPP line tonight, take the top line for Toronto and see what happens, because they are playing a little better. And Babcock going back there, I'm sure he's going to have those guys fired up. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
That's the one I was going to say too. I think they have some potential. I really think Kadri's going to have a big year. I don't know. I think Detroit's a lot can happen with Detroit. They didn't get great goaltending at times last year, to the point where Jimmy Howard he lost his job at times. So wouldn't it be shocking if he struggled again this year? So I think that is a good fit tonight, and I don't think anyone will be on them because it's Toronto, and they just don't get respect from anyone.
I agree. And you know what? And Howard, he was sick a couple times too last year, wasn't he? Wasn't he scratched late twice for being sick?
Yeah, I think I do remember that.
I mean, that was just insane. It's like, come on, dude, stay healthy. And that's probably part of the reason why he lost his job. Some of the time. Because you'd rather have a guy that's going to be in there most of the time, and it. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to touch on obviously a lot of stuff going on here at dailypucktalk.com. We have a lot of content going on daily, and we are going to definitely have shows every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And the reason being is, and they'll be fill-in shows like tonight too. We're going to try to get shows every night, but you know what? Unlike other sites, we don't get paid for this stuff. In fact, Drew actually his professor let him go early today. They were working on some kind of project, and he said, "Oh, hey, just get out of here," So otherwise, you were just going to have my ugly mug on. But Drew was able to get out and get on the show in time. But just so you guys know what to expect, daily articles every day. I'm going to do a podcast every day unless I'm doing a show, which I really don't think there's a need to do a podcast and a show on the same day. It's just rehashing the same stuff. But, moving forward, we do appreciate all you guys out there hanging in the chat and actually supporting us here at dailypucktalk.com.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm not sure who will be on the show tomorrow. I could be. We haven't really decided yet. But thanks, everyone, and good luck tonight.